Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to this channel, for your likes and your comments. I really appreciate and enjoy reading your comments. Thank you for all you do to support this channel. Today we're going to talk about a real Harlem Renaissance man, and that is Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was a big part of the Harlem Renaissance. He was a writer, a poet, an activist, just an all-around Renaissance man. And we remember him from school. He was one of the black authors that we studied in literature class in school. Some of his classic poems are Harlem, Let America Be America Again, I Too Sing America, The Weary Blues, Po' Boy Blues, Mother to Son, Dreams, and The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And The Negro Speaks of Rivers particularly was one of the favorites that somebody always recited when we had Negro History Week back in the segregated schools. So Langston Hughes is one of my favorite poets. Langston Hughes was born on February 1st, 1901 in Joplin, Missouri, to James and Carrie Hughes. His father left the family early to escape the racism in the United States, so he went to Cuba and then Mexico. His mother left that small town going to a larger place to look for work, so Langston and his sister were left to be raised by their mother's mother, their maternal grandmother. So he spent his childhood with his grandmother. He graduated from high school in 1920 and went to live with his father in Mexico. In 1926, he returned to the United States and entered Lincoln University in Chester, Pennsylvania, where he graduated in 1929. Langston Hughes had been interested in writing from a very early age. After he graduated from Lincoln, he went to New York City and enrolled in Columbia University, but he would not stay at Columbia because of the racism. At first, they wouldn't allow him to live in a dorm on campus, and then when they did give him a room, he said the students were so racist, and it was just such an unpleasant, racist atmosphere that he left Columbia. Right down the street from Columbia is Harlem. Columbia is this bastion of Ivy League whiteness. It is a closed campus, but right down the street is the hood. Harlem is literally blocks away from Columbia. So he was already a published poet when he went to Columbia. But after he got there and experienced so much racism, he decided to join the Harlem community, which the Renaissance was already in full swing. It was a community of musicians, of singers, of dancers, of writers, of painters. It was a community where black creativity from all disciplines and genres had come together and created a movement called the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes, voice of the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes, an iconic figure in American literature, was a trailblazing poet, novelist, playwright, and social activist who emerged as a central figure during the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s and 1930s. Hughes wrote unapologetically about black life at a time when segregation was law and few black artists were allowed into the American cultural zeitgeist, writes Time Out. One of Hughes' most famous works is The Negro Speaks of Rivers, written when he was just 18 after graduating high school. This poem marked the beginning of a career dedicated to exploring the African American experience. Hughes sought to honestly portray through his writing the joys and hardships of working class black lives, writes the Poetry Foundation. He was one of the early figures to show the dignity and the beauty of ordinary black life, said Paul von Blum, a UCLA senior lecturer emeritus in African American Studies. So different people are commenting on the aspect of the genius of Langston Hughes and his contribution to the Harlem Renaissance. He sought to capture the energy and vitality of the music in his poetry, said Richard Yarbrough, editor of the Library of Black Literature. He finished his college education at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. Unlike other notable black poets of the period, Hughes refused to differentiate between his personal experience and the common experience of black America. Langston Hughes wrote about ordinary black people. It could have been your mama, your daddy, your brother, your cousin, but you related to the characters. A lot of it was funny, but all of it was authentic and real and entertaining. The Ways of White Folks is a collection of short stories by Langston Hughes in which he tackles a multitude of problems facing black people at the time, including interracial marriage or interracial relationships. So this is actually one of his better known works, and it's a good book of short stories. Langston Hughes advocated for civil rights and social justice, and his impact is still being felt in America today. In 1967, he passed away from cancer in New York City, leaving behind a body of work that remains relevant to the current social and intellectual landscape. He is buried, in fact, at the Schomburg Center of African American Culture in New York City. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful evening.